Hey guys, what's up? It's Seriatena with Burn 1, and I decided I think I'll start a new video series where I take really old sets, or sets that, you know, have pretty much been power creeped out of the meta, and try to just get a working shell going with them to where you can actually play sets you like. You're probably not going to win a lot, because, I mean, a lot of them have been power creeped, but at least have them function. Which is something with English Monogatari. I decided to do this first because I own it, and I could not get this set to work following what a lot of people were telling me. So I had to sit down, try a few things out, and this is more of a way to also teach with deck building, so let's get right into it. So, a little bit of background knowledge about the set. It's very old. There's no free plussing combos at one. Every single plussing combo in the set is tied to a like a one stock cost, whether it be the Lover's combo or the Hanakawa combo. And the set is designed around overcosted changers. Like back in the day when the set was made, you would get like an 11k level 3 out at 2 for 3 stock. If you try to do that today, you try to build around that part of the set, you will just lose because that is so low impact. And then you also have no real finishers in the set. Nothing in the set has any way to push more than its soul count in damage. So, when starting this, I wanted to decide my climax combos, right? So I either wanted to get cards that their climaxes would plus me in some way, or I wanted a costless combo, like a card that would plus me in a way without me having to use stock, because I noticed that if I was using all my stock in the early game to try to accrue advantage, that I just wouldn't have any at the end of the game. So we have the toothbrushing time. It's pay 1 gets big, so automatic, but it's on a gold bar, so the gold bar comes to our hand. Consistency of the combo pretty good, but actually extremely outdated and too small in today's meta because it only gets to 8,500. Tsukihi, it's a level bomb for level 2s, and I think it snipes back row with the gate, or maybe a level 1 or lower or something. It's on a gate, which is good. It's a good plussing trigger that you'd like to play, but the combo itself doesn't plus you, and doesn't happen until 2. The Aragi is actually just terrible. It just gains power when you play the book. The Senjo Gahara is a 2-2. It salvages on attack with the gate, so you get both a salvage, a 2-soul beater, and a gate, which is both pretty good. The Nadeko searches out 2 copies of herself with the book, so you get a book trigger, which is a +1 if you trigger, on top of a +2 to hand, even though it's on a level 3. Don't forget though, we don't have finishers, so getting more healers is pretty much the only thing we can do. The Hanakawa turns into like a 2-1 with the gold bag. Gold bag is a pretty poor way of getting advantage if you don't have ways to turn that advantage into cards. Because of that combo is actually not very good. The 2-2 Sugaha, I think, doesn't it like search 2 cards and your opponent chooses 1 and gives it to you? It's pretty terrible. And the 2-1 moves a card to back row on reverse. It's on a 2-soul. It's on a 2-soul, so that one might be worth trying. But yeah, I think that out of all of these, only 3 of these are even close to viable. If you're going for the plussing triggers. Because I know that a lot of people want to push the Lover's combo, which is on a 2-soul, which is not a plussing trigger, but it also costs 1, and it's only a 5k body, which means that, like, when you're slamming a 2-soul, it means that you actually can't even clear vanillas on your opponent's board, so I think that combo's terrible. In case you're wondering why I'm not including the Lovers in the semi-viable section. So, we've narrowed it down to those 3, and we're pretty much going to choose the Senjo Gahara and the Nadeko. At least that's what I'm going to do for this video. But you could try and play around with the 2-1, I guess, if you want to have some fun. So, now that we've finished that part, we need to look at the level 0 options. Like, what does the set have for us at level 0? It has a plussing Brainstorm, which, given the age of the set, is actually kind of amazing. So, that's pretty much an automatic 4 of. It's tap 2, search for things. And it also is a 3k vanilla if you have a blood trait character, which Shinobu and Aragi count as blood. So it is an older set. You're probably going to be like using a lot of stock on brainstorms and overcosted cards. So you also have the Sugaha, that on attack you can choose a climax and put it into your stock. You can combo this with the Search 2 Climaxes level 3, or with the on attack Salvage level 2 to give you the stock that you need for in the next turn to be able to field characters. You have a level 0 Hachikuji Bomb. It pumps a character on attack, and it's a bomb. It's alright. A Loner Senjo Gahara at level 0. She's a 4K with Hand Encore if she's the only character on your board. Only character. On death, the sisters pay to salvage a character, a strange character, so that's pretty much everything in the set. It's not good, not bad, especially given the age of the set. The Nautico is a 1000 to middle during opponent's turn. Pay 1, draw 1, ditch 1, so it's a hand fix tied to a stock out, and it can dig you for climaxes and cards that you need. I think it's a pretty good card. This 4K beater that just... I think it goes to clock or deck or something. It's terrible. It's actually not worth looking at. The Shinobu, if you have one or less other characters on board, it's just a 4K. So it's the same thing as the Senjo Gahara minus the Hand Encore. Given that most bombs nowadays don't move cards don't just like reverse cards, they move them to other zones. You might as well be playing the Shinobu over the Senjo Gahara. Hand Encore is not very good on a level 0. And then you have this Mayuji. Mayui. Hachikuji, sorry. Experience 4, I believe, so you have to be level 2 to use it. It's a filter for any card in your hand for a card in your grave. You know, looking at all of those options, and those are like literally the best options you have at level 0. I think that these are the cards that you really want to include as a core lineup in Monogatari. The Brainstorm, of course, it's your only plussing Brainstorm. The card that gives your cards just a little bit more of an oomph on defense. Like 1000 power can go a long way, even if it is in the worst slot. Extra stock is always good, and old sets usually have overcosted effects. So anything that you can do to alleviate that is good. And the filter is actually amazing. Like that Hachikuji is actually amazing. So at level 1, we have to play either red or blue cards as our primary color. I mean, of course, we can splash something else. But going through 2 sets, these are the only cards in blue and red even worth putting in your deck at level 1 that are costless. And the costed cards are understated even compared to like the silicas, or like compared to the silicas nowadays that Sword Art gets for free, and the other 1/1s going around. So it's pretty much like an old set. You just ignore 1/1s because they are understated for today's standards. This Senjo Gahara becomes a 6K if she sees a Koyomi, making her, yeah, that's pretty good, right? It's a 106K, not their best, but today's standards. But back then, you know, it was pretty good. Then we have this backup that has experience 5, I believe. You can -1 soul for 2 stock when you use it, and it's a vanilla backup. Probably one of the best cards in Old Bake. Because anything with soul manipulation can just win you games. I think the Senjo Gahara, it's like pay something, and then you can put a card it reverses on top of the deck. I think the stock cost is too high though for what it is. Koyomi shuffles 2 back in to gain 2k power on attack. I really like this because the Nautico searches from deck, right? So if you have 2 Nauticos in grave, your climax combo actually can't net you cards, but if you just shuffle them back in with him, you can get those 2 cards to hand and actually have your climax net you more cards in hand. And then I think the blue card just gets big on attack or when it's played. It was pretty terrible. So I decided to go with the biggest body I could, the utility that I need in order to get my level 3 combo off, and the minus soul counter. Those are the out of the 2 primary colors that I'm going to be running due to my climaxes, this is what I want. So, blue, red. Now, I only want one other color. This set doesn't have enough search to warrant playing a fourth color. So, I can choose between yellow and green. Yellow, I have this big Shinobu, gains 1,000 power on your turn, and experience 2, I believe. 500 extra power, so it becomes a 6-5 on attack, and a 5-5 on defense. The Senjogahara, experience 2 as well, I think, plus 1,000, making it 5k, but it also has tap 2 characters to give a character on reverse blind stock, which can help alleviate a lot of the stock issues with the set, compared to other sets. Then you have this Karen, discard a Climax on play to search your deck for a card with experience. The thing about it, Monogatari, is a lot of cards do have experience, and it is a discard outlet, which isn't the most common thing in this old set. You have this Koyomi that I've had the honor of playing around with. I think it becomes a 5-5 if you have a Shinobu, and it gains Hand Encore, I believe? Just a way for you, because Monogatari moves around experience, you run a lot of 2s and 3s in your deck. Sometimes also because it doesn't have any real search. You just sit there with a bunch of like overcosted cards, and then you get to have this. And there's a bonder to it, but at the end of the day, it's only a vanilla on stat-wise. You have this 1/1 Hanakawa. It's really good, actually. It gives 500 globally, and it gives all of your cards the ability to tap a card to gain 1,000. The problem with it is that's tapping cards down, and your Brainstorm is a tap 2, and the Senjogahara is a tap 2 as well. So there's kind of like a struggle between the two. And Kaiki, minus 500 to a card on play. It can snipe back row Brainstormers. And then you can tap him to give a card the ability can't use backups or events. Problem with him is, again, you can't Brainstorm the turn you use him, so you're always juggling between the two. I find it very clunky with a tap 2 Brainstorm to be playing him. So I personally chose the Senjogahara 5k tap 2 for the utility. But I do believe that the Shinobu might be a better option, if only because against Persona 5 they have the yellow, blue, and green, red, and if you choose red and green as your 2 colors, you can actually just lose to Persona 5. Persona 5 is not everywhere, but it is a very popular set, so do with that knowledge what you will. So now at level 2, all changes are overcosted, and the only thing you've got going for you in the set is a vanilla backup, a level 2 bomb, the worst anti-early play ever. I think it becomes a 10k if it's fighting a level 3 and it has Hand Encore, and a 2/2 Salvage 2 event, which nets you +1 for 2 stock. Yeah, out of these, the only thing that I think is even close to viable is a 3k backup, if only because your level 2 game with the Senjogahara is 9-5, 10-5 in the middle, 11k if you have the Koyomi out, that I'm going to get into later. So it can become like a 14k with a simple 3k backup, which is, that's worth a slot. Okay, so now in our primary colors, red and blue, there aren't that many level 3s worth talking. There's like a Salvage on play Senjogahara from a TD. There's the Heal on play Senjogahara here, that if it kills a level 2 or lower, it can snipe a level 1 or lower, or level 2 or higher, it can snipe a level 1 or lower on your opponent's board, including back row, get rid of Brainstorms, get rid of like level assist if they're 1/1s. Not many of those exist. I mean, those exist, but not many of them are played. You have this 3/3 big clock kick target. Once per turn, when it becomes reversed, it rests itself, and it's got 3 soul. It's pretty good. It has a lot of damage. It can side attack level 3s, and it's actually very terrible. But given what the set has, it's worth like a 1 of. And then this Hanakawa is actually pretty good. It gives 2k to cards in front of it. And then it has Come and Play, Draw 2, Ditch 1, giving you Dig for like like other healers or a few other things. Who knows, maybe a climax. And then it also has the cards in front of it gain pay once when they kill something, send it to the bottom of the deck. So if your opponent's like really low on deck, you can like kill their card, send it to the bottom, get more guaranteed damage, or just remove like big threats off of the field. And the power that it gives is not too shabby. It makes cards reasonable, I would say, like 12-5. So nothing absurd, but I mean before that they're like 10-5. So it's pretty much the best you got. Now, your secondary options, in yellow, you gain access to a Hexproof healer. That's really good. It's an 11k Hexproof healer. In green, though, you get a whole lot of other options that are probably not as good, but anti-damage in English isn't really a thing. Sorter has access to it, and some lists play it. And then, Tula Vru has pretty much been bullied out of the meta. And if you play against Tula Vru with your salvage on attack combo and your gates, I'm sorry to tell it to you, you probably lost. You probably just don't even want to like pay attention to that matchup. So in green, you get a field swap, 11k field swap, yeah, and then it becomes a 13k after the field swap. Not the best, but I mean, if the only thing you have is healers and that, not a terrible option. 3-2 Sugaha that if you have experience like 4, I think, it becomes a 10-5 with Hand Encore and it heals on play. The ability to keep a 2-soul beater on board across multiple turns is actually pretty valuable, so I think that this card is better than the Shinobu for that fact alone. And it's the same reason I think the Tsukihi is good. If you can manage to live a turn after playing it, that's a lot of value with that 3-soul. And then you have this Senjo Gahara that has defensive scry when it gets attacked. And it pumps another card on attack until end of opponent's turn. So it's a pretty respectable card, especially with the defensive scry. If you can manage to tri-field it, it might save you. The problem is that like defensive scry is only good if it's like actually stopping something, and I'm not sure that like it's enough, right? Because it gets attacked, you scry like one card, and then they still get their finishers off, and they get like burn ones or on reverse burn. Like if you're playing against like AOT or something, or just pretty much any competent set nowadays has more than one instance of damage, so the defensive scry one isn't the best. Now, synergy cards, since I've decided pretty much I want to play this green level 3 game, I wanted to choose that as my secondary color. The yellow cards are good and are worth teching in if you want. You could place the green cards with the yellow. But now I need to figure out, what am I going to do about that Senjo Gahara that's a 1-0 that gets power for Koyomi? So, I had that 1-0 Koyomi, but I want something a little more reliable, right? So there are 3 Koyomis that help my board state. The first one is a plus 500 on my turn. It's the yellow one. It's pretty good, but I'm running blue, which gives power on my opponent's turn. So I kind of want something with a little more synergy than that. The green one is if I have 5 or more stock, everything gets a global 500. Which is also pretty good, but given the age of the deck, and I could be wrong about this, and you probably are able to swap it out. I believed 5 stock would be a hard thing to maintain under like all times, right? If something goes like slightly bad and you're like forced to pay stock out, or you're forced to brainstorm a lot at the beginning, this card would become dead to your deck. In most cases, it probably is the better choice. So I'm just gonna say that right now. And the last one is a global 500 to Senjo Gahara's, and it has a pay 3 at level 2, send it to clock, play the 3/2 Senjo Gahara from hand. So 3/2 would heal him off. I chose him because of the fact that he's always extra power to Senjo Gahara's, and my entire level 1 and 2 game is Senjo Gahara. So that was my thoughts with that. He's a pretty decent card. So with the red-blue base, third color splash, I've kind of already spoiled this. The green has the stock charger, the heals, the Kaiki. Yellow has hexproof heals, player phase, 6500 Shinobu, which lets you get over cards, hopefully get over cards. It's at least more of a threat than a 5k that green gives you. And yellow is also the same color as the only plussing Brainstorm, which means you don't have to have the 4th color at level 0, muddying up your options. So, weighing those options, this was my draft. I played it a bit. It works well enough for how old the set is that I decided, you know, it's probably good enough. But upon further retrospection, the Hitagi level 1 green, is pretty low impact, because I would almost always rather Brainstorm, given the fact that is the only mill I have in the deck, and it can just randomly net me cards, than randomly try to get the 1 extra stock with the Hitagi. So the Shinobu would probably be better, and then I do think the Hand Encore is very good on the Sugaha, but the Hexproof might be a little bit better. Something that I actually was surprised about when playing it is how effective the Senjo Gahara is at level 2. Being a 500 extra for every character on your board makes it a 9/5. With the Koyomi, it's 10k. In the middle, it's 11. And then with the backup that you can salvage off of the Climax combo, it's a 14k. Level 2. Most early play level 3s don't get to 14k on attack. 2, it's a level 2, so your opponent actually can't do anything about it. Like, no deck is prepared to fight level 2s, especially in the current meta. So it's kind of funny that with no finisher, you can actually cheese games out just by like winning level 2 that hard with this card. But yeah, I thought it was a very fun deck to play. This was my build. These are my thoughts. Hopefully, I've given you guys some insight on how to deal with older sets on your own. And I'll be visiting a lot of those older sets as time goes on. But until then, this is Serio Tenon, signing out.